Sheila Vand, welcome to An Actor's Spares. How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm such a big fan of yours. I mean, the coup in this business is working, and you got started pretty young with Bengal at Baghdad Zoo, right? Like, how old were you when that was?
Yeah, I was I was 24, I guess.
That's amazing.
Feels
Yeah,
young now.
yeah. Well, I follow your career. Girl, walks home at night, and We the Animals, and The Rental now, and I say this with sincerity. You're such an amazing actress. One of the reoccurring themes on the show is the difference between good acting and great acting. And I kind of prior off air was just mentioning, a lot of actors can kind of just do the Tonight Show and play personalities and make a living at that and do that. But like the great actors, no other actor could play that role, and they really bring something to every character. And you were one of the finest actresses. I don't know how you feel about that. I hate the word actress
It's
because it
oh,
limits.
whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone.
So you're
Yeah.
the one of the finest actors in the world, and honestly, you're just so beautiful when you're on screen. You just like
Thank you.
you were so stunning. And then, this, I try to kind of not look at other interviews before I do it just to kind of get to know the person. But I started following you on Instagram this morning, and then I fell in love with your personality. Like, you have the exact same sense of humor of me. And I was like, oh my God, this girl is just like beautiful inside and out.
Oh my God, thank you. I
Yeah.
just started putting that project out. I saw actually that you had liked some of my stuff. I hate to admit it, I did
Ah,
notice that.
yeah.
No, but I
I'll keep like
appreciate it. It's scary putting your own stuff out there, and I'm trying to do more of that. So
Oh, dude, you're so funny and it's great and you're so beautiful, and I'm so glad I got you before I have to go through 22 channels of CAA when you're
yeah,
going to
right.
the Oscars and
That's not good. I mean, the Oscars will happen, but I'm never having 22 agents. It's way too much money to give
yeah,
away.
fuck that, man. Stay with the good folks at ICM. But talk to me. So you grew up in Los Angeles, right?
I lived in Southern California till I was 10, like kind of on the outskirts of LA. And then my family moved to Northern California. So I feel like I kind of became more of a person in the Bay Area. But then I went back down to LA for UCLA to go to theater school. So I really kind of claim, both Southern California and Northern California as where I grew up. I know they have a rivalry with each other. But it was good. There's positives and negatives
Yeah.
to both sides. But the Bay Area generally, it's such a liberal, progressive, like
Yeah.
gentle place to grow up. So
I've had two people on the show. Do you know Morgan Spector and Carla Gugino?
are they from the Bay Area?
Yeah, yeah, they
Oh,
are.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, Dave Franco as well. We're from the same hometown, but we went to rival high schools, so we didn't know each other. But
No way.
yeah, just Palo Alto.
Yeah. Oh, is that where you were?
Yeah, that's where I mostly grew up. It's like
So,
where Stanford is and like the tech industry.
so were your parents in the tech business?
Yeah, my brother and my dad are both like computer whizzes, and then my mom was a CPA accountant. So it's kind of
Wow.
funny. They're very much like numbers people, and then I'm just this weirdo who went my own way.
Well, talk to me then. Having parents that were so, mathematically or technologically focused, how did the acting bug start to happen for you?
Well, I do think that my mom is very creative and like maybe, my parents I'm first generation Iranian American, so I was born in the States, but my parents and my brother actually were born in Iran. And so there's a lot of it is like just the opportunities that they got to have, but
Yeah.
having to deal with like fleeing a country and everything.
Do you have both passports?
I do, yeah, I do have
Um.
both passports, but I haven't ever been to Iran, unfortunately, which is
Yeah.
kind of another story. But so I think like I got some creative spirit from my mom, but I it was mostly that I don't know. I grew up just like a lot of the games I played were the ones where you pretend like
Yeah.
to be like something else. I wasn't as interested in like So that kind of pretending was just in me, and storytelling, because I grew up in a really big Persian family. So it's just like there was always like, one time my cousin did this, one time this happened, my uncle said this. Like they're just, from the time I could speak, were like stories to tell. And then I started doing plays in like middle school and high school, and I just like I couldn't not stop. I always joke that the only reason I'm an actor is it's the only thing I never quit.
I love that.
But I think it's because I can't quit, man. So many times too, like speaking of the despair, like in my professional life, I've just been like, fuck this, but I can't do it. I can't quit. I can't.
Yeah. I'm 30 and I'm still here grinding it out, so I'm there with you. And
good. Don't quit. Half of it is that. Half of it is just perseverance.
I will say, actually, Sig Dave Miguel and Steve Vincent were people that turned me on to you. They took me to a screening of your film, The Wave, and, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they told me to tell you hello.
Man.
They're such great people.
They're so, man. Sig Dave Miguel's always showing me love. It's so nice.
Yeah, he's the best. He's been same for me. But I'm curious then, did you grow up bilingual?
Yeah, I did. So Farsi was my first language. And then, like most immigrant kids, I sort of pushed back on that. Like as I went to school, you know, I just like wanted to speak English because, like, you know, there's a lot of reasons why I felt that pressure. But luckily, I had pretty strict parents about that. Like my dad especially was so important to him to maintain certain parts of our culture. So at home, it was just like he was pretty like disciplinarian about continuing to speak Farsi. So my Farsi isn't as good as it could be. Like I can't read and write, which sucks, but I want to learn. I've learned the alphabet before and then forgotten it, but I can understand everything, and I can, and it's the most beautiful thing. Like I'm so grateful they did that. And I speak Spanish as well, just like from school. And
wow.
Yeah,
I'm half Mexican, and I used to be like conversational, but I lost it.
Oh man.
Yeah. Little did I know the business would have changed so much that.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta get into your Mexican side.
I know. I got to do Narcos. You know, fuck man. But so then, talk to me. So, was there a teacher in middle school or high school that really kind of helped you kind of manifest this reality of like this being your calling?
100%. Like it's funny, like I don't have a great memory. Like I don't remember all of my teachers' names. Like I don't know, from like back in the day, I don't know if it's just like I smoked too much weed or like why the hell. Like I don't remember my childhood the way like a lot of other people do. But my theater teachers just like stick out in my mind so much, particularly Jim Shelby, my high school drama teacher. He was just like he was just a G, like so amazing, so well educated in the theater, passionate about the theater. He loved teaching. And when I got to UCLA, which is like, you know, this prestigious theater school.
Talk to me about that, because growing up in California, you know, like in New York, it goes one or two ways. You either want to go to school here or you want to get out forever. You know, when I was applying, UCLA was my dream school and I got in, but I decided to risk it and go to NYU. What made you choose UCLA over like, I don't know, Juilliard or NYU or, you know?
It's really simple, actually. Didn't get into the New York schools. Like I didn't get into NYU.
What?
And I know. Seriously.
What the fuck? I'm going to email
Juilliard.
Hey, I didn't get into Juilliard either. Nobody does.
Yeah, whatever, man. Yeah. It doesn't really like.
Fuck you, Adam Drive. I'm kidding.
I tried, man. I really, really wanted to. I really wanted to get far away. To be honest, I wanted the New York thing. Yeah, but it was like it ended up being like just where I got in, and then in retrospect, like when I did finally move to New York the first time, when I did Bengal Tiger at the Baghdad Zoo in 2011, which by the way, that year I applied for the second time to Juilliard and I didn't get in.
For the Masters?
I just tried again, for the Masters, and then I didn't, and the main reason I applied was I just wanted an excuse to move to New York, and then I didn't get in, but I got into Broadway, motherfucker!
Fuck you, Juilliard!
So even though I didn't get into Juilliard, I was like, whatever, guess what, I have a better excuse to move to New York.
I can't
chose
tell
to
you
move
how
to
many actors
Broadway.
on this show didn't get into Juilliard, you know?
I know. I mean, like poor
Yeah.
Julia. Like nothing against them, but they
No, everything
just
against
hold
them.
this place. You know, it's like, oh, if you get this, and but when I did finally move to New York later in life to do Broadway, I to do Bengal Tiger, I realized actually that it was a blessing in disguise. I hadn't gotten into those schools. I swear, I think the universe intervened because I'm a very sensitive person. Like I
Yeah.
take in a lot of stuff, so I don't think I could have survived New York as an 18-year-old. Like
I did not. I dropped out
me.
and then had to return later. It did.
Yeah.
So talk to me about UCLA, because
Yeah.
it's a BA program, right? You do your academics, and then in your
Yeah.
later years you're able to focus on acting. Did you like that?
I didn't like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it was really frustrating to be like, I came here to learn acting and like I can't even take an acting class until
Yeah, it's bullshit.
second year of being here. I don't know if it's changed since I was there. But I did have some great teachers there too that were really formative in my life. I had like a directing teacher, Brian Kite, and Marilyn Fox, this amazing acting teacher. But like I was gonna say that the first like year or two of being there, I like a lot of kids there were very excited by the curriculum. I had felt like I had learned all that stuff
in
already
high school, yeah,
because of Jim Shelby in high school. And actually, when I listened to your podcast, the Bill Pullman episode, he also mentions this like theater director who really got him into it. And it just reminded me how important teachers are and how like having a good experience when you're learning, it can be so formative. Like maybe I still would have gotten into acting, but I really think, and like also just like so people know, like I was never getting leading roles. I was often like not getting cast and plays. Like it from day one was a grind for me.
Yeah.
But just the fact that I had a teacher that was, I think, just teaching us the right stuff and opening our minds. Like I remember we did the Laramie Project when I was like 16 years old, and a lot of schools weren't letting their schools do the Laramie Project. It's about the hate crime, the like terrible.
It was too fresh and too risky for them.
But like we were doing that stuff because our teacher was pushing for it, and so I just wanted to give like a shout out to teachers because I think they they certainly don't get paid enough for what they do, and don't often get the credit for like sowing the seeds for so many actors.
Totally. I've had a lot of my teachers on the show actually. So
yeah,
good. yeah.
That's dope.
Try to keep it celebratory, but then talk to me. I'm very curious to ask you. You know, because as I mentioned, I dropped out. Being in LA, did you ever feel tempted to just be like, "Fuck it"? Like I can go to Strasbourg on Santa Monica, or I can like was there ever a moment of that?
There was definitely some people, I think, in my class who were more into like, I just want to start auditioning. I wasn't like that at all. I was such a late bloomer in the sense that, being a child of immigrants, I didn't have any resources or guidance just in the sense of acting. Like I just had to really figure that all out myself. So I feel like when I went to school, I just wanted to get better at it. I just really wanted training. So I wasn't too tempted by that stuff, but similar to you, I didn't drop out, but I ended up finishing a year early. And I even like my third year, I studied abroad, which is something they really didn't want us to do. I think we were not really even allowed to. I just did it anyways. I went to Spain, to Barcelona, which was, but like, cause that was important to me, that life experience. And like, I would say to anyone trying to act who's listening to this, like, I just always say it, don't think it's all about acting classes and workshops and
you got to
like,
live.
Some of it you do. You really do. It's what makes your spirit like an interesting thing to look at on stage or on screen. Like you have to first be an interesting person. I think you got to care about your soul as much as success. And so I had a weird experience at UCLA. I don't think I really had a normal one where it was just chopped up a bit. Like I left, I went to another country, finished early, but that actually is what led me to study acting and directing. Like I got into the school as an actor, and then because they didn't allow studying abroad, when I came back, I wasn't really allowed to just like re-enter the acting track. So I sort of entered the directing one and kind of like finished with both. So again,
was that guy Merle Schreiberman there?
I don't think so.
He was there when I did like in high school courses at UCLA film
Okay.
to get pre-credits. He's a
Oh,
fucking
actually, maybe he was in the film department.
yeah,
Like,
he's a bit of a dick.
there were some dicks there,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
There was some dicks, and I did
He's
not like it at all. I
he
like
was like
the
suing
dicks I
Michael
didn't like.
Bay or some. He's out of his mind. Yeah,
Again, I did have some great teachers there, and maybe, but like you said, there is an element of that, like weird, like we're in LA, and
yeah,
so some of it feels a bit like that. Those are the reasons why I had wanted to go to New York, and why ultimately I did move to New York. Was like I was just like, I need work that isn't all under the shadow of Hollywood. I need work
yeah.
with, like, of course, again, like, not to say there's not integrity in LA, but at the end of the day, like, the people who choose to go to New York, the actors who choose to live in New York, I think inherently have a different set of priorities.
I couldn't agree more. And let alone not even just the priorities. I feel like in LA, being an actor is like being a needle in a stack of needles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
embarrassed when I was in LA to say that I was an actor.
Me
I
too.
was
When I
always
lived
like,
at yeah.
yeah, I felt like dirty.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, what are
like,
you
oh,
in?
I'm another one of, like, and also people's reaction too is kind of like, yeah, you and everybody else. Like,
Yeah.
but in New York, it feels like a respectable profession. It feels like it's not what everybody does here. Like, when you go to a coffee shop, you don't see every single person working on a screenplay. It's
Yeah.
eclectic. And again, it
No.
like gives you life in that way.
I've been here 12 years. I couldn't agree more. So talk to me though. Did UCLA have any kind of showcase built in?
I don't think they did for undergrad at that time. They maybe have since. Like, it's been over a decade since
Yeah.
I've been there, so it could have changed. But I remember actually, like, the class below me starting a petition and getting really proactive about, like, why don't we have a showcase?
Yeah.
And all these other schools do. And it's like a really important tool for getting signed for a lot of people. So I think it did actually change. But my year, we didn't have it. I had to really infiltrate representation in, like, a shitty, grimy way that, like, sucked at the time, but eventually I got there.
Well, so post grad, what did you do? Did you go back and kind of reevaluate your plan, or did you go straight to New York?
No, I stayed in LA at first, and mostly I, like, was making my own work. Like, I feel like that's another big thing I learned at UCLA was,
Yeah,
like, how to take things into your own hands.
totally.
And even though you pay all this money to, like, get properly trained, it's not like, oh, that's a great thing to learn. It's like, actually, if I want something done, I kind of have to do it myself. But later in life, I was like, that is a good skill set to learn, because the
Yeah.
same shit happens when you start profession. It's like, no one's handing you anything. Nobody is, like, it's such a grind. And especially back then being one. So when I first got out, I was, like, making my own multimedia immersive
Yeah.
theater stuff. It was
Yeah,
really
I heard that.
exciting. And
It got picked up at LACMA, right?
yeah, that was the second big thing I did. The first one was at the LA Theater Center, and I actually look back on those years, even though I was so unemployed as an actor, as, like, one of the greatest years of my life, because I was just making my own shit. Because I was like, I don't know, I can't sit around and wait. And
Oh,
then once acting kind of, like, took off, I stopped making my own stuff, and this, like, huge void
yeah.
was created. And so now those little kind of silly clowning around Instagram videos that you saw, this sort of,
Love
like,
it.
internet show that I've made is really, like, partially about me getting back to
Please do.
making my own
I
stuff
love it.
again.
That's
And
amazing.
thank you.
And that's so beautiful to hear, because I think a lot of actors, a lot of these institutions, let alone, places that you're paying tons of money at NYU, the whole time the culture was like, you're so lucky to be here, you're a star. And then you graduate and you're like, well, how do I get an agent? You know what I mean? And so that's so
Exactly.
amazing that you were like, fuck that, I'm just going to do my own thing. It took me 10 years to figure that out.
I mean, not like I said, though, like, I did it and then it went away and now it's coming back. Like, it's a little bit of a testament to, like, the grass is always greener on the other side. Cause, like, of course I'm grateful that, like, things started going well with acting, But I do think because of the culture of like, you should just be grateful. You should just be happy if you're working. Like it ended up making me like do a lot of projects that weren't really up to my quality standards. Just because I was like, oh, this person wants me to do something for them. Like, I mean, there was a moment in time, like if you look at my IMDb page, it's like 50 short films on there. Like I would just say yes to everything. And that's not a bad thing at first. I actually really advocate for that. Like throw your ego, check your ego in the first 10 years.
Get your reel together, get some footage, you know, make.
There's a lot of people from my class at UCLA who like, so, I mean, there's very, very few that are still doing it professionally. And I don't mean to dismiss any of those people or reduce their experience, because like what we do is so fucking hard, but it is kind of like what you were saying of like, why don't they prepare us more? We pay so much money to figure it out, and there should be a little bit more help with like professionally, how the fuck do you like just having talent, unfortunately, in this business doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get far. Like you have to like anyways, I'm coming back to that like wonderful realization of like mostly you just have to kind of make shit happen for yourself. Like you with this podcast, like you got to find avenues into the passion.
Well, when you need someone for one of your Instagram videos, I'm your neighbor. Call me. I'll come over to Flatbush.
Hell yeah.
But let's fuck it up, man. So then talk to me. How did being in LA, I imagine with like, you know, LACMA being, you know, the MoMA of LA, did that kind of expose you to some casting directors and agents?
Not as much, because there are some casting directors for sure in LA that will go out and see a lot of stuff, but it is nowhere near the way it is in New York, where like I feel like the casting directors are seeing all the plays and they Sneaky Nietzsche was the name of that project, and I think that like helped me a little more in the art world in a sense, like gave me some cachet of I think it means something to certain people. Like I even remember I was doing Argo at the time that happened, and like Ben Affleck was like, holy shit, you're also an artist? Like, because like we were saying before, like normally it's just the LA actor. It's such a specific thing. And I know that like that bumped up my cachet for him. And I think for a lot of people it's like, oh, you're not just an actor, you actually are a creator. And it's been important to me to keep that identity. And the only way to do that is to keep creating. But I would say more like, I think like Argo and A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night made people take me a little more seriously.
And do you feel like you found your voice on those films? You know, Argo obviously got shot out of a cannon and became, but you know, A Girl Walks Home at Night, like, you know, my favorite vampire movie of all time is You Just Let Me In. But that one, I was like, this is just as fucking good. And
Thank
especially
you.
Like the stylization of doing the black and white. And I heard you guys shot, you know, the Middle East in California, you know?
Yeah, it's like, it's just that stuff. Like if something, it's so hard to get something big enough that it gets on people's radar. Like that's the other thing. It's like so many lottery tickets, right? Like first you got to get the audition, then you got to get the callback, then you got to get the part, then you got to do a good job in the movie. Then the movie has to like not fuck up its marketing and like distribution. Like there's so many levels to finally get
of things you can't control.
Exactly. But it did, you know, it was nice once it got to the point where my work could kind of speak for me instead of me having, or like a manager having to hype me up. Like it's so nice when you could finally just say like, just watch this movie and you'll kind of get the point. But the only tricky thing at first was that both of those movies, I only speak Farsi. So then I had to start the journey of proving to people, like, first of all, letting them know, like, I'm American, you know, like I can speak English and I, you know, like, I'm not just like some girl from Iran. That
That's gonna homeland for 3 seasons.
So like it was still this like, damn, like it was so hard to get those parts and to get that cachet. And then, so it was nice when I did the movie We the Animals. There was another Women Who Kill, like, thank you. Yeah, like I needed to show my chops in English.
What was that like getting I'll just call it the film that gets accepted in all the pretentious film festivals and you get to to be knighted, if you will, by the industry. Was that a game changer for you, We the Animals?
It
And I love that you brought like a Brooklyn accent to it. It was so perfect for that character. And your
thank
range
you
is
for saying
insane. You are
that.
so good. Like you're so amazing. You make such distinct choices, and that's why you're like why I love watching you perform, because I say this with love. I see the character. I don't see Sheila.
So that's like the biggest compliment ever. I really, really appreciate that.
And I mean it, every word of it.
I
And you're so beautiful. You look so even as
no,
that.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
Actually,
Oh my!
You want to know a secret?
Tell me.
First of all, the first secret, which is not much of a secret, is I do a really bad job of not embarrassing myself. Like if I feel insecure, I just have to like throw it out there. But just so you know, like how nervous I get, like I have huge pit stains right now.
Oh, I got my AC
and I'm hiding them. I turned my AC off, and we're in New York, and it's really hot.
I'd feign you.
But so as far as like, this is how I deal with compliments. You're like, you're beautiful. I'm like, look at my pit stains. No, I'm sweating balls right now.
That's amazing.
But anyways, yeah, with We the Animals, I think it was just nice. I still feel like not enough people have seen it. Like a lot of times.
Were you aware of the book, or?
Yeah, once I was aware when I was auditioning, but I actually didn't read the book until I got the part, because I wanted that part so bad that I knew I was going to be like pretty destroyed if I didn't get it. So I thought if I read the book, I'm just going to get like too invested in it. So
was
I actually
the journey really long to prove, hey, I speak English, I'm worthy of this part? Was that
the like English speaking part is like immediately people are like, oh, okay, you're fine. Like you don't, like sometimes it's happening less now, but in the beginning, like after Argo and Girl, it was like a lot of times I'd get auditions that were like, please have her prepare it like in her natural accent and in the American accent. I was just like, my natural accent is American. Like, and some of that is, I think, ingrained in us, like, whether it's micro racism or what it is, but like I'm a victim of it too, like where we just sometimes see someone who's a different ethnicity and then you make a bunch of assumptions in your mind, and that's why it's important to me to be seen as like both Persian American and just a normal American, because that's what America looks like to me, like especially living in New York. Americans, they look very colorful, and but anyways, with We the Animals, like sometimes people still will just think of me as the girl from A Girl Walks Home at Night, and it's been important to me to have people bring those two, connect those dots, like, or sometimes they'll see We the Animals, they won't even put together like, oh, that's that crazy Persian vampire girl. Like it's important to me for people to connect those dots, because I did work hard on that range, and I want the credit for it, not because I want a pat on the back, but because like, we don't have to get too heavy or go in this direction too much.
No,
but like,
please.
I do feel as a Middle Eastern American actress, like I have to work twice as hard as like a white contemporary to be like, take me seriously.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think We the Animals helped with that, of just like, she's not just here for Persian roles. Like that role was an Italian American.
Yeah.
And not to say that I'm trying to play like things I'm not, but like, why can't I be in a leading part? Like that meant a lot to me to get that part. I know like hundreds of girls auditioned for that, and I'm sure like, I mean, I heard stories of like a lot of white girls with way more credits than me going in there, and
fuck them, they're weak. We need Sheila Vand for that.
I mean, they're cool too, but like they're gonna get more chances. So, but I don't know, things are starting to change, and we'll see, but it's bullshit that like when I was first starting out and diversity was first a thing, like I did have a lot of white friends who were like, oh, you're so lucky, like everybody just wants ethnic actors. And like, it's really hurtful to say that. It's like, fuck you. For like 100 years, like no one in my ethnic group has had a chance. Even still, we're fighting for decent parts. Most of the times we're still, you know, totally supporting peripheral characters. So I don't think sometimes like white actors realize like
I totally respect it, and I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, like I don't know, like not to say that there shouldn't be, they shouldn't get jobs as well, but we got to start like correcting it. It's and just up until like a couple years ago, it was still pretty normal for white people to play like Latinos and, you know, Middle Eastern people, and like,
I mean, nobody remembers West Side Story. It was brown. You know, Natalie Wood was in brown skin. You know what I mean? Like, there's just
even more sooner than that. I don't want to like.
No, I hear you.
You know, throw people under the bus and whatever, but it's just as of very recently, and like I said, like I'm not saying I wasn't myself even a person participating in that kind of stuff. Like, it's just that I guess that's what it means. This like woke culture, whatever, is just like we are seeing things in a different lens. Like, there's even like female shit that's happened to me throughout my career that for many years, like I consider myself a really strong woman who doesn't take shit. And still I would take a certain amount of shit just thinking like, that's the way things are. Like, no one's going to care if I bring this grievance up. And like now, like post Me Too and all of that, like, I'm like, thank God, like if something creepy happens, I don't have to second guess it in my mind anymore. I just feel like that was weird. And I'm going to like talk to some of my cast members about it, or like, like, yes, I'm super grateful. I know there's a lot of people who think that things are like so sensitive right now, but I don't. I feel like safer and
I mean, I think women, I would say until even the year 2000, have been so marginalized by religion, by politics, by America. You know, I think it was a reckoning that was mandatory, because men can be pigs. You know, I don't want to say all men are pigs, but you know, sometimes they can be really disgusting. And when anyone has entered the corridor of power, not even in entertainment, throughout history, they always abuse it, you know? So one thing history shows us. And
our business too, it's like has a lot of room for that, because it's like we're a bunch of like kids that don't want to grow up, I feel like. And so often like the job feels like summer camp. Like, you meet a bunch of people, you're never going to really see them again when it's over. And I think it lends itself a little to like, you know, sometimes in a really fun, great way, to like breaking rules and pushing boundaries. And then sometimes in these ways that are inappropriate. And also because like there's so many people who want to break in, it's easy to abuse your power to these like, you know, like luckily for me, like in times I've been Me Too, like I just like didn't, because of my life experience, I was able to walk away, you know, be like, the hell? Like,
you had the strength to be like, fuck it.
Like almost was, but that doesn't mean that that's how it is for every person.
No,
you know?
of
Like
course not.
maybe I had the money to say no to that job, or like maybe I, you know, there's so many factors that go in. So that's why I don't like when people are just like, well, why don't you just like leave the room when that guy whipped his dick out? Like it's for some people, they do. Some people, it's like weird, it's shocking, and it's like it's not you.
You never know how you're going to react to a situation, sexual or not, until you're in it. You know, like, you know, I went through a bad breakup, and I chose to cope with copious amounts of drugs and alcohol, and I'm sober now. But you know what I mean?
Oh,
like
good.
You don't know how. I still do mushrooms, but you know, you don't know how. You don't know how you're going to deal with something until you're there. And I think it's really unfair for people to be like, well, I would have dealt with this like this.
Yeah,
you fucking wouldn't.
So just like in my pajama dress.
Nice.
Yeah, way better. Woo.
Yeah.
I was dying, man. Thank you.
Of course. So I'm so curious as to where, you know, when We the Animals comes out, where is Sheila's minded? Because I imagine at that point you get to be a lot choosier.
It's so funny, the choosy thing, because it like still takes a lot of courage, you know, like or at least for me, I think because I felt like such an outsider starting out in this business, and I think again, it's like one of those things where like I think of myself as such a strong person, but actually getting selective has been a difficult process for me. Like
Yeah.
there was so many years where I was just like, I'm so grateful to work, like I said, or just like I just love being on set, you know, I love doing it. And so I'll but yeah, I think it allowed me to, it gave me more confidence for sure to like, I can do this and I don't need to be doing every little part that I get asked to do. But it wasn't still an indie movie. And unfortunately, like we still live in a day and age where you can't make a living just doing indie movies in theaters. So like, actually, like sadly enough, like I think the thing that made me more courageous to be selective was making enough money. And that hasn't always been through like projects that satisfy my soul. So I really do think it's important to balance it, and don't be ashamed to take a job just for money either. Like there was a lot of my career I was just like, oh, I have to do like classy work only. And I try my best to maintain a certain amount of like integrity and quality, especially because I care about people who like follow me and fans and stuff. Like I want them, when they see a movie with me in it, to know it's going to be like either something like psychedelic and weird and different, or like, you know, really, really good, but you don't always get that kind of control. But now that like, you know, bless up to the universe, I've like been doing a couple of TV things long enough. Like I finally
and you have
feel like
Snowpiercer coming up.
Snowpiercer, and it's given me a little bit of that cushion, and that's also why I started making my own stuff, because I fund my own projects. Like I don't ask for money from other people. I don't really like. I probably should. When I was younger, I applied for some grants and stuff. Like got close to getting some, but like really like have been rejected so much in my career. Like you wouldn't believe, like I don't even know how I'm still here considering how much I've been rejected in my career. But I just ended up doing this thing where it's like make a little bit of money and then spend it on my own thing, make a little bit of money. And I try to even nowadays like budget, like there's this much you just allowed, because I get worried about money, you know, like so many actors, like we don't, it's really hard to feel job security with what we do. But like, fuck, man, I really do wish that I was. It's okay that I swear, yeah?
Fuck
okay. Okay, cool. Like I still sometimes like get, there's the confidence thing. It feels like a never ending thing. Like, but it is getting better. I am starting to finally be like, okay, like this isn't a fluke that you have an acting career. This isn't just like, because in the beginning it feels like, oh, maybe this is just like right now. Maybe I'm just having a moment.
Which can happen for some people, you know?
Yeah, and it takes a certain amount of work to finally be like, okay, this isn't going to get ripped away from me. And I really think the only way to get there is focusing on the work. Because the only like thing that at the end of the day you'll never age out of, and Hollywood can never take away from you, is your skills, like your talent. If you know, there's just so much bullshit in our business of people being like, you gotta like network like this, gotta do this, gotta send your headshots here, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, for me, I'm like, just that shit should be secondary to just trying to be good at it. Because if you're good at it, you're gonna keep getting work.
You just kind of mentioned this with your TV thing, but talk to me about, you know, before we dig into the rental, doing something like Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. You know, do you enjoy doing studio films? Because I know there's a little bit like that's a badass woman, you know, and a badass female movie, but you know, studio films, they're not We the Animals. They're not, you know, A Girl Walks Home. You know, they're very different. The rules are different. Was that an experience you enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're all different, and I think I get something different out of each one. I have to keep the balance though, or I'll kind of go crazy. Honestly, doing any one of them, like even though I do tend to put theater and indie movies on a pedestal, because the nature of them, you know, they're able to take more risks and stuff creatively. But at the same time, to be perfectly honest, like when I do enough indie movies, I start being like, oh, I miss the luxury of like a trailer or just like, you know, like a
Flying
solid ass
first class.
paycheck. Yeah, like
Yeah.
business class, like just a hotel room. Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's because I have for sure roughed it in several different ways, and I'm always down for that. You know, like I do think I 100% am a spiritual warrior in the sense of like I will do whatever fucking takes for the art, but um but then like I said before, like you need to pay your bills too, and not to say that mainstream studio stuff only pays my bills. Like I've also gotten the chance to meet some of my like favorite people like Tina Fey, like
Margot.
yeah, Margot
Yeah.
Robbie was so awesome. Like so many people
Yeah.
through those, like Robin Williams. That was theater, so
Yeah.
that was different. But they have their pros and cons. Mostly, I feel like the studio stuff, like it's exciting to see the sets because the production value is just so massive on those things.
Yeah.
So like the sets and the props and the costumes are always like so elaborate.
Yeah.
But it's a strange thing having so many executives involved. Like a lot
of cooks in the kitchen.
So many cooks that aren't creatives, which is so weird to me. And then like, you know, and then you see it, the proof is kind of in the pudding often. And so just because my background's in the theater and in indie films, like I thrive more, and I just like that more intimate setting that's like just fewer people having realer and deeper conversations instead of lots of people giving notes that are like incoherent and all over the place. And then in the end, you kind of have this like soup of a project because so many damn cooks were throwing in their 2 cents.
Well, I totally understand that. Let's talk about the rental. You know, you mentioned you and Dave grew up in the same area but didn't know each other. How did this all come together?
Yeah, Dave reached out through a few mutual friends. I know he had seen We the Animals and A Girl Walks Home one Night and was like a big fan of both of those movies. And then Joe Swanberg, who co-wrote the movie with him, I had met Joe, like we actually were both in a short film together and kind of socially met. We met like at Sundance once, and we just met socially a couple of times. So like Dave knew my work. Joe and I kind of knew each other, so I think that's maybe how the idea came up. I don't know if Mina, the character, was always Persian or if they had done it because of me or what, but Dave was very adamant about casting me, and that meant a lot to me. You know, it's as somebody who's been like shoved to the side for so many years, has had to prove myself so hard through the rat race. Like it's really nice when you just get an offer. Like I didn't have to audition for the rental.
Amazing.
It was offered to me.
And he had a bigger part than his wife.
Living the dream. But it was cool to see his passion for like it's got to be you. I want it to be you. Like that meant a lot to me. I was like, man, this guy really believes in me. And then also it meant a lot to me that like 5 different mutual friends reached out, because I was like, okay, if he's vetting me this much, he's probably vetting the rest of the cast and crew. And I actually, like, you know, I think some people might be like, oh, like, why does he need to check so much on me? But I loved that, because I was like, this means this guy wants like the best, most like down to earth people. And like, that's who it was. It was all like real solid people who he had made sure that, like, you know, everyone on the crew, he would call around with people who'd already worked with him, be like, is this person cool? Is this person like a good person? And then we met once he reached out, sent me the script, and I read it, and I really loved like the films that he referenced that were sort of inspo for it. And so, yeah, then we met up, and I just thought it was cool that he was really going for a film that starts really naturalistically. And like character driven, and then just unravels into horror.
Totally.
I thought that was dope. And I was like, he's kind of a good candidate for that kind of thing, because I feel like his comedy is often very dry and natural.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny. When I saw it and I heard you were in it, obviously I wanted to see it, but I say this with love because I do love Dave Franco. This wasn't the movie I would have expected from Dave Franco.
Right.
You know what like,
which is also super cool. You know, like he didn't
totally.
just go into the expected pathway. Like another thing this industry likes to do so much, definitely to actors. Yeah, just like you did this thing, like literally like the first pilot I ever did, I played a cop. And then for like 500 fucking auditions after that, it was always a cop or a detective, and which is hilarious because anyone who knows me knows I'm like pretty anti-authority, total rebel, like grew up, you know, like I am not the person to be enforcing rules. I am the rule breaker. So
I'm in just like that cop rabbit hole now.
Yeah, you do it once. I mean, look, at least there's a lot of damn freaking roles for this. At that time, at least I remember there was so many cop shows and detective shows, but it finally had to just be like, man, I don't want to wear a pantsuit anymore. Like, can I just play a weirdo?
Yeah.
Like, and that was the other reason for like my Instagram thing. I was like, I need to let people know that I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
Because they don't seem to understand. I am a freak.
Yeah, me too. I love it.
So yeah, it's great that Dave went in a different direction and he killed it. I think he like totally
You killed it. You were so great, and like I think I can say this. If not, we'll cut it out without giving it away. But like, as someone who's had a lot of wild experiences on Molly, I know just how wild that drug can take things.
Exactly. I know. I was like, when I watched, I was like, damn, am I like? Because that's a really hard thing to do as an actor, the inebriated thing.
Oh, for sure.
You know, like it so quickly can get into like a cheesy place, like pretending to be drunk or fucked up, and you don't actually want to have to method that because then you can like.
I tried it early in my career; it doesn't work.
Certainly wouldn't want to try it with Molly. You know? But it was fun. I actually felt like I got a little bit of a like contact high or something, just pretending to be that loose. Yeah. But that's like an important part of the film of why shit goes awry. It's like it's kind of like one innocent mistake after another, and it really starts with really like human things, like human mistakes we make, and then the paranoia and the guilt just like avalanches essentially.
Was it a blast filming?
It really was. Like we shot that in Bandon, Oregon, and it's so beautiful up there in the Pacific Northwest. It's like, and the house is this like gorgeous. The house is like a character itself in this movie, and it's a big, beautiful house on this cliffside overlooking an ocean. So it was, and I really like especially with movies shooting on location because it's a short period of time, but you get to like feel like you entered this other world, and everyone in the cast is like so just all great, awesome people, but it's fun too to be in a cast where like you're all the same age. It was less lonely than sometimes it is to have to like go and be far away from home for a long time.
That's amazing. And well, I know we touched on your amazing Instagram and you got Snowpiercer, but what else is coming soon for Sheila?
Well, I'm supposed to shoot a movie in September, but you know, like, of course, COVID-19 times, like, we're not exactly sure if that's going to be possible, and everybody wants to do it, you know, in a very safe and responsible way. So I don't know, like September still seems a little early to me, but that project is by this amazing Iranian-American artist named Shirin Neshat. Yeah. And Shirin is in her 60s. She's been making work for the last like over 3 decades. She started more in like video art and visual art, but this is now her 3rd feature. And last year we made a couple of shorts together that were put up at the Broad Museum in LA, which was super cool. They did like a retrospective of all of Shirin Neshat's work. And so we're doing like the feature version essentially. The feature is way more developed and its own thing, but it's kind of an extension of those shorts that we did. Yeah. And that's a really cool, like surreal, stylized black and white movie about this like Persian American girl who works for the Census Bureau and goes into all of these different houses kind of searching for like the American identity through like these random people's houses who she's going to as like a census worker. And then things get very kind of absurd and surreal, and the casting is really exciting, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say like who's all in it, but that's going to be another like real art house type thing. So
I'm there.
And then there's a play that I may do, but that's been pushed to next year. So
here in New York, are you still balancing theater?
I'm trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just like have to do I've learned that I have to do a play once every couple years at least. Cause like last time I did a play, I had like a string of a few like difficult acting experiences and some rejections. And like, it was one of those times where I just wanted to quit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck this business. I'm just like so tired of like feeling like I'm getting shit on no matter how hard I try. And then I did a little play that a friend of mine wrote called Nylon. My friend Sofia Alvarez, who's an amazing playwright and
Where did it go up?
as well. We just like self-produced it in a black box.
I've done that so many times.
Yeah, like it's called Theater Lab in New York, and it's a white box theater, like
I know
black
well.
box, but it's all And Canute Adams, I don't know if you know Canute. Canute Adams is this unbelievable, like up and coming theater director who I love, and he directed it. He's now like I'm so proud of him because like he just recently did a show at LCT3 at Lincoln Center, and he was asked to do this show at the Roundabout Underground, but that got pushed to next year. Yeah. But I think Canute is like gonna be the next like theater directing hotshot. I think he's so dope. But we just like, it was kind of going back to those roots of like, I don't want to wait for people to give me a leading role in a play. Like, fuck it, let me. And also like everything I do is about getting better. So I was like, I got to prove to New York theater that I'm out here. And so we did this play. We like just pretty much funded it ourselves. And it was an amazing experience. So actually like, it's not 100% official, but Canute had asked me to potentially do this other new exciting play with him that hopefully we'll get to do next year. But that play like revived me. That reminded me that's like, oh, you don't hate acting, you just miss theater. Like you miss real acting.
Being alive and not like, with the bullshit.
Yeah, and it was also great to remember that like it's who cares that it was in a small like 65-seat theater. Like it didn't matter. The work at the end of the day is the same. It could be a 1,000-seat theater or 50-seat theater. Yeah. The work you're doing as an actor is the same. And of course we want recognition and we want to get paid. We deserve to get paid. We want to be seen. But I like, you know, to whom it may concern, like the truth is you won't necessarily be happier on those huge projects. Like you might do those and like I keep saying, like the paycheck might be great, but you might be like, did I even act today? Did I even really do work I'm proud of? So I just hope actors like don't, you know, I know it's a hustle, man. And it's like, I think I'm very lucky that I've been able to create this balance, but I want people to know that large part of what's gotten me here is the small stuff that, you know, fewer people have seen. And that stuff has made me like, now I feel like going into that little play, like I was just like, can I even do this? I don't know. I've been doing screen stuff for so long. And now I'm like, that's how you get confidence, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I can't get it from that. Like, I got to just keep doing the work.
I love it. It's so beautiful. And I'm curious, you know, because you've been so amazing and so lovely and articulate for all the young Sheilas and, you know, the Ryans who I'm old, but, you know, the younger actors.
I'm older than you.
Yeah. No, you look 21. Hey, what would you say, you know, to the wide-eyed Sheilas, maybe a little disillusioned with their college and trying to figure out, you know, their post-grad navigation? Any advice you have for them?
I definitely want to say that college, like, it's great you did it, and education is amazing, and like it's good to have tools in the toolbox, but take it with a grain of salt. Like I said earlier, for most of my schooling life, never got leading roles, often wasn't, you know, the person first believed in, but it didn't matter. And actually, like a lot of those people who were getting leading roles, they're not even doing it anymore. So I think just remember that any rejection, any hardship, it could take you down or it could fuel you. So try to find a way to just use it as fuel. Take those feelings, take that anger and write it down. And I always, my biggest piece of advice always is make your own shit. Like, totally. Because you never know who's going to see that small play that you did and bring you in. And remember, the goal is not to be on a TV show. The goal is not to be in studio stuff. The goal is to do great work.
And just be able to pay your rent. That's the coup.
Yeah. So it's good to just stay busy because there's a lot of downtime. Even when you're really successful, we have to deal with this weird thing where part of our employment is a lot of unemployment. So just like fill it up, whether it's life shit, like traveling, getting your mind off the industry, or, when I was starting out, I did all the things. I did casting director workshops. I don't know that they went anywhere, but sometimes I learned a little nugget here and there. I did a couple of those. It wasn't one-on-one, but like you'd go up and do a scene and they give you feedback and you're hoping that they like notice you.
Yeah.
Like, don't waste too much of your money on that stuff. But like scene work is always great.
Yeah. Well, if you look at his exercise, I think you'll find yourself a lot happier.
And just like be patient. And I have so much respect for anyone out there who's going for it. Like, and I just want them to know that I have had a lot of hardships too. Like it's part of it. And failures sometimes are like more valuable than successes because you can learn a lot from them. So
I couldn't agree more. It's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Sheila Vand, I got so much love for you and I just want to hang out with you forever, and we're neighbors now. So let's get coffee sometime.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah.